Imagine one of your worst nightmares coming to life in church. Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome guests. As with many people, one of my worst nightmares, one of my biggest fears was fear of public speaking. I spent my whole life avoiding situations where I'd be called on to stand up in front of people and speak. I had horrible leadership skills. The company I worked for in Bismarck, I had one guy working under me and he hated to go out of town. He'd whine and complain and moan every time I'd send him out. So what I'd do, I came into work early and I'd decide what he needed to do for the day and pass that on to our secretary, and then I'd take off and go to work and let the secretary send him out of town or whatever he was supposed to do with him for the day. It's amazing that she finally did agree to marry me after putting her through that. So one day my boss calls me into the office and he sits me down and he talks about leadership and communication and self-confidence, and he said, "Tell me about this organization called Toastmasters." He said, "If you'll go to the meetings, I'll pay for it." Well, you can't beat a deal like that. So I went to my first Toastmasters meeting, and when I found out what you all do, I'm going, there's just no way that I'm going to do that. I can't get up and write a speech. I can't table topics. No way. And so I declined to go. I did a pretty good job of avoiding speaking situations for many, many years after that. I believe that was 1981. 1996, I was being transferred from Great Falls to Billings. Well, the church we went to up there had this deal where they had the people that were leaving town come up to the front of the church and they'd kind of pray for them and you know, wish them well and give them a little gift and send them back to their seats. So that morning, that last Sunday morning, I woke up and I had a bad feeling. This is not going to go good. And I told my wife, I don't think we should go to church today. It's just not going to go good. Well, of course, I was overruled, and she said, "We're going." She said, "We told them we'd be there. It's not going to be any big deal. They're going to have us come down to the front of the church. They'll pray for us. They'll give us a little gift and send us back to our seats." Well, my wife and I have this deal where if we agree on something, I get to make the decision. If we disagree on something, she gets to make the decision. And so since we disagreed that day, she made the decision and we went to church. Everything was fine until the end of the service. They called us to the front, and there's pastor, and there's my wife, and there's me standing here. And he's going on telling us about the move, telling us, the audience, a little bit about Lori and I. And then he turns to Lori and he says, "Would you like to say something?" And she's like, and a million thoughts per second are going through my mind. I'm not wanting to talk either, but I can't do this deal. I mean, how ridiculous would that look for both of us to refuse to speak? And so I took the microphone and I spoke for maybe 3 or 4, maybe 5 minutes. Time goes by so fast when you're up here. And got several laughs. I'm going, well, this is fun. I want to do it again sometime. And I'm thinking Toastmasters. That kept coming back to my mind over the years too. Yeah, I finished with my little talk and I'm handing the mic back to the pastor, and he's not taking the mic. He's just talking a little bit about what I had said. And then he says, "You know, we've never had the opportunity to hear the testimony of when you became a Christian. Would you share that with us?" And I'm thinking, of course I'd never done that before. I'd never spoken in public before, and thinking I didn't want to speak quite that soon again. But I went on for another several minutes, and again, I got a few laughs. It was fun, and it was enjoyable. And I gave the mic back finally. He took the mic and sent us back to our seats after they prayed for us, gave us a little gift. I think it was a little clock. And I traveled for a living for many years. Well, as I was traveling, these speeches kept going through my mind, how I could make them better, how I could spice up the funny parts a little bit and that. And I've got to check out Toastmasters. And it was 10 years. It wasn't until 2006 I finally made myself check out Toastmasters. I went online, found the 7 clubs in town. Westend Toastmasters at that time met over at Northwestern Energy. And I emailed the club president, and he emailed back and sounded like a really nice guy, really welcoming. And so I decided to go to a meeting. And one of the hardest things in life I've ever done, knowing what I was walking into, was walking in that back door over at Northwest Energy. But Kurt saw me come in, came up and welcomed me. Josie was there. And I think Donna is the only member that's still with our club that was originally with him at that time. But I sat through the meeting, and as I watched it, the speakers and the table topics, I thought, you know, I probably can do that. After the meeting, Josie comes up to me with an application, and she says, you know, you can sit down and fill this out here if you like, or you can take it home and fill it out. And I'm like, I think I better fill it out here and pay for it now before I leave that door, because if I don't have some money on the line, I'm probably not coming back. If I have money on the line, you can bet my wife is going to see that I come through that door again. And it's been, what, 6, 7 years now. I know I've got a long ways to go, but from what I was before to where I've achieved now, and leadership skills and that, Toastmasters have really, really been beneficial to me. And so, kind of my thought in this whole speech was encouraging people, things that you fear. Is there anything that you fear or something that you'd always like to do and been procrastinating for a long time? New year coming out now, it's a good time to maybe make some goals for next year. Working out, that's one of the things that I really need to do, and Susie's speech last week was very motivating on that fact. Anyway, that's what I wanted to leave you with today, and I will turn the meeting back over to our Toastmaster.